Hello and welcome to the channel. In this multi-part series, we'll be diving once again into the world of Norse mythology. Oh, and if you enjoy mythology-related content from around the world, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're notified when a new video is out. Now, without further ado, let's jump right into it. In Norse mythology, Ragnarok represents the end of the world, followed by its rebirth. The term itself means fate of the gods, or twilight of the gods. This cataclysmic series of events leads to the death of many major figures, including the gods of Odin, Thor, Loki, and Freyr, as well as the serpent Jormungandr and the wolf Fenrir. Odin, often referred to as the All-Father, plays a central role in Norse mythology, and the anticipation of Ragnarok weighs heavily on Odin, as he tries to understand the future and the fate of the gods. A lot of Odin's involvement with Ragnarok revolves around his quest for knowledge. He knows there are prophecies foretelling the destruction of the gods. Because of this, he is always looking for wisdom and foresight, often at a great personal cost. An example of this is when he sacrifices one of his eyes at Mimir's well in exchange for knowledge. Another example is when he hangs himself from the world tree, Yggdrasil, stabbed by his own spear for the rune's wisdom. Odin rules Valhalla, where warriors that are killed are taken by the Valkyries. These warriors, also called Einherjar, spend their time in Valhalla training for the ultimate battle during Ragnarok. Every evening their wounds heal and they have a feast. Odin prepares this army knowing that they will help the gods during Ragnarok. Odin's children also play significant roles in Ragnarok. For example, his son Vidar is foretold to avenge his death by killing Fenrir. Balder, another son, dies. His death is seen as a precursor to the events of Ragnarok. More on that later. Odin goes to great lengths trying to prevent Balder's death after learning from prophecies that it would cause Ragnarok, but Loki makes sure that the prophecy comes true. In the poetic Edda, especially in the poem Baldur's Dreams, Odin raises a seeress from the dead to inquire about Baldur's troubling dreams, which foreshadow his death and the events leading up to Ragnarok. Odin becomes desperate and goes to great lengths to get answers about the impending doom. During the events of Ragnarok, Odin faces Fenrir, a wolf and one of Loki's children. Despite Odin's wisdom and power, his fate is to be eaten by Fenrir. Odin goes into the battle knowing this, showing courage and dedication to the pantheon and the world order. Odin's involvement with Ragnarok is twofold. He spends much of his life gaining knowledge and wisdom to prepare for the event, and during Ragnarok, he plays a direct and tragic role in the battles that determine the fate of the cosmos. Freyr is a well-known god in Norse mythology who belongs to the Vanir tribe of gods. He is associated with fertility, prosperity, and good weather for the most part. Though his role in other Norse mythology is quite broad, his involvement in Ragnarok is more specific. Here's how Freyr is involved in the events of Ragnarok. In one of the myths before Ragnarok, Freyr gives up his powerful, self-wielding sword for love. He falls in love with the giantess Skirr, but in order to win her heart, he gives away his sword as part of the negotiations conducted by his messenger, Skirnir. This is consequential to Freyr during Ragnarok, as he goes into battle without his sword. Surter, a fire giant from Muspelheim, plays a crucial role in the events of Ragnarok. At some point, Freyr confronts Surter. Freyr is greatly disadvantaged due to the fact he no longer has his sword. Despite his best efforts, Freyr is killed by Surter. His death is one of the significant losses for the Aesir and Vanir during Ragnarok. Freyr's involvement in Ragnarok is tragic. His decision to give away his sword for love, though romantic, ends up sealing his fate during the final battle. His death during Ragnarok underlines the theme even the most powerful and benevolent gods meet their end. However, the cyclical nature of Norse cosmology suggests that destruction is then followed by renewal, and even in death there's the promise of rebirth and a new beginning. In Norse mythology, Tyr is the god of war, law, and justice. He is known for his bravery and sense of duty. His significance can be seen during his involvement in many myths leading up to Ragnarok. Though his involvement during Ragnarok isn't as well known as Odin, Loki and Balder is still worth mentioning. One of the most famous myths involving Tyr is the binding of Fenrir. The gods realized that Fenrir was becoming too powerful, posing a threat to them. When the gods tried binding Fenrir with chains, the wolf always managed to escape. Finally, the gods asked the dwarfs to make a magical ribbon named Gleipnir. Fenrir, suspicious of the gods when they approached him with Gleipnir, agreed to be bound on one condition, that one of them put their hand in his mouth as a sign of good faith. Tyr, knowing the risks, put his hand in Fenrir's mouth. When the wolf realized he couldn't escape Gleipnir, he bit off Tyr's hand. This signifies Tyr's sense of duty and sacrifice for the greater good. During the cataclysmic events of Ragnarok, Tyr confronts Garm, the watchdog that guards the entrance to Hell. Both Tyr and Garm fight, which results in them killing each other. Even though both Tyr and Garm die, this is an example of Tyr's bravery. Garm is often described as formidable and fearsome. Tyr's involvement in the elements leading up to and during Ragnarok symbolizes the themes of sacrifice, duty, and honor. His willingness to face danger and make personal sacrifices for the sake of order and justice shows how he is one of the noblest gods in Norse mythology. Thor, the god of thunder, is a central god in Norse mythology and plays a crucial role in Ragnarok. Known for his strength, bravery, and hammer Mjolnir, Thor is one of the main gods who fight to protect Asgard and Midgard, the human world, during the apocalypse. Thor is often seen as the protector of both gods and humans. Before Ragnarok, he often fights against the Jotnar giants, helping to maintain balance, delaying the chaos of Ragnarok. The Midgard serpent Jormungandr is one of Thor's enemies. Both have many encounters, including a fishing trip where Thor tries to pull Jormungandr out of the ocean but fails. This ongoing hatred between them serves as a kickoff to their ultimate confrontation during Ragnarok. Heimdall blows the Jarlhorn to signal the start of Ragnarok. As one of Asgard's greatest warriors, Thor would be one of the first to prepare for battle. During the events of Ragnarok, Thor faces Jormungandr in a long-foretold battle. Using his hammer Mjolnir, Thor fights Jormungandr, eventually killing the serpent. After killing Jormungandr, Thor collapses and dies from the serpent's venom. His death marks the end of one of the greatest protectors of the Aesir and Midgard. Thor's children, Magni and Modi, are foretold to survive Ragnarok and inherit Mjolnir, carrying on Thor's legacy in the New World after the apocalypse. Thor's role in Ragnarok is both heroic and tragic. He fights his longtime enemy Jormungandr in a battle to the death. However, even in victory, he ends up dying. His actions and sacrifice is a key event in the tragedy of Ragnarok. Loki, who is often referred to as the trickster, is complex and multifaceted. Though he occasionally helps the gods, he is more often an annoyance to them. His actions and the consequences are central to the events leading up to Ragnarok and the apocalypse itself. Loki is the father of several monstrous children, who all play a critical role in Ragnarok. These include the wolf Fenrir and the serpent Jormungandr, and the half-dead, half-living Hel, who, as you probably guessed, is in charge of Hel. In one of the most significant events of Ragnarok, Loki causes the death of Balder. Loki finds out that Balder has no weaknesses except for mistletoe. After making an arrow from mistletoe, Loki tricks the blind god Hoder into throwing it to Balder, leading to Balder's death. This causes the gods to dislike Loki even more and is a crucial moment in the lead-up to Ragnarok. For his killing Balder, Loki is captured by the gods and subjected to a gruesome punishment. He's tied to 3 rocks while a serpent drips venom onto him. His wife, Sigyn, catches the venom in a bowl, but when she has to empty the bowl, the venom falls onto Loki, causing a lot of pain, which causes earthquakes. Loki eventually manages to escape, marking the onset of Ragnarok. During Ragnarok, Loki sides against the Aesir. He becomes the captain of the ship Nalfar, which is made from the nails of the dead. He sails from the underworld to Vigrid, bringing with him an army of giants, the dead from Hell, to fight against the gods. Loki and Heimdall, the watchman of the gods and guardian of Bifrost, the Rainbow Bridge, fight in a duel. Both Heimdall and Loki have been enemies of each other in many myths, foreshadowing their deaths at Ragnarok. And as foreshadowed, they end up killing each other in a duel. Loki's role in the events leading up to and during Ragnarok is both pivotal and complex. He symbolizes chaos, mischief, and unpredictability. While he often brings about creativity or change, his actions also lead to deception, betrayal, and the destruction of the world. The complicated dance of creation and destruction, order and chaos, is shown in Loki's character and his involvement in the end of days events.